Hi guys, this is GSMnon.com and I'm here with the ASUS ZenFone Zoom S for a full review. You probably saw the review we did for the ASUS ZenFone Zoom about a year ago, and some people know this successor as the ASUS ZenFone 3 Zoom in some regions of the world. Now, it was announced at Mobile World Congress 2017. It's basically a combo of a dual camera phone and a battery phone in a pretty slim package priced at around $440. Now, we're dealing here with a metal unibody device that has a plastic lid at the bottom, plastic lid at the top, and an antenna that strikes to the dual camera at the back for a pretty unique approach. This is an incredibly slim phone for a 5000 mAh battery, so it measures 7.99mm in thickness. It resembles an iPhone 7 Plus a bit, and it comes in colors like black, silver or gold, and this feels more like a blue than a black. It weighs 170 grams, which is not bad compared to the ZenFone Zoom's 185 grams. Now, the handset is gently curved, as you can see here, at the corners, on the sides, and the front panel is also gently curved. Not the smallest bezels in the world, but also not the worst. Pretty solid build, feels very light for that huge battery, and it's got a premium build for sure. By the way, reasonably easy to use with a single hand, and it also has a special one-hand mode if you want even more comfort, and comfy buttons on the sides. Now, on the display front, it's a 5.5-incher, an AMOLED with Full HD resolution and Gorilla Glass 5 protection. We do not have a video player, so we're going to have to put the screen to work using the gallery application. And this is what the video experience looks like. We're dealing here with a bright and crisp image, very vivid colors that pop out, specific for an AMOLED. We got great contrast even in the sunlight, deep black and wide angles. Now, we also put the screen under the microscope, and we had a bit of a surprise. Even if this is an AMOLED, the pixel arrangement is of the RGB stripes variety, which you don't see every day. For an AMOLED should be pentile, but this one is RGB stripes. We also did some measurements of the brightness, and as you can see, they were not constant. Some parts of the screen are brighter, other parts less bright, but overall you will not notice the difference with the naked eye. 465 lux units, which is quite good, and it beats the LG G4, LG G6 and the Huawei P10 Plus, but scores below the ASUS ZenFone 3, Galaxy Note 5 and the iPhone 7, for example. Now, we also have settings for the very same screen, and allow me to find them. The settings are here, they're pretty typical. We got brightness level, wallpaper, LED indicator, font size, style, display size, and a screen color mode. We got color temperature, we got blue light filter, super color, and a custom mode with a hue and saturation slider. Overall, a pretty good screen. And now let's move on to other specs and talking here about the CPU and the rest of the hardware. The CPU is actually very familiar. It's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 625, the same we saw on the ASUS ZenFone 3, and it comes with an Adreno 506 GPU, 4GB of RAM, and up to 128GB of storage. There's also a microSD card slot, and in my experience there was no lag here. We played the first-person shooter, we played Riptide GP Renegade, we opened up a bunch of apps, and we had zero experience with lag, so the functioning is quite fluid no matter what you're doing, and no matter how big the queue of apps, I mean. Okay, so playing Riptide GP Renegade, typical benchmark game that we use here at GSMnon.com, and here we go. You can tell from the loading screen, it's quite a snappy device. Nice response to the tilt controls, and that guy had a pretty nice boost from the get-go. Pretty good frame rate, loving the way the water looks, and also the special effects are quite nice. Nice aliasing, texture, shadows. This is a pretty solid machine if you want to do some gaming on it. Now that this is done, it's time to go to the screenshots and see how the benchmarks were handled here. And this will be a bit more special this time around because we have the benchmarks on our sister site, so let's check them out. Okay, and we go here. We have a huge list, we do all the tests, and then we have nifty tables with our comparisons, and here we go. ASUS should be here somewhere. ZenFone 4, ZenFone 4 Pro, ZenFone Live, that's quite a few of them, and here we go, ZenFone Zoom S, also known as the ZenFone 3 Zoom. Okay, so I promised you benchmarks which we have. They're available here. I'm going to start off with the famous quadrant. In quadrant, as you can well see, we beat the LG G Flex 2 and the Galaxy Note 4, but we scored a few other phones. We scored below a few other phones. Let's see which ones. So we scored below the Moto G4 and the Lenovo Vibe X3 in quadrant, but once again we beat the Galaxy Note 4. This is the quadrant test. Now let's see the Antutu 6-1. In this one we beat the Sony Xperia Z5 and the Huawei Nova, but we scored several models. We scored below several models, like the LG V10 and the LG Nexus 5X. This feels more like a mid-range material, doesn't behave like a flagship. It can maybe fight flagships from, let's say, last year. And now let's see on the graphical side of things. 3D Mark Slingshot Extreme, it scores above the Motorola Moto G5 Plus and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4X, but also at the same time below the Xperia XA1 and XA1 Ultra, so the MediaTek Helio P20 is able to beat this phone. So even as a mid-ranger, not the best performer in the world, but still okay performance in the day-to-day use. Speaking of day-to-day use, let's see how it handled the temperature test, because we also did that. So we achieved a pretty cool temperature of 32.4 degrees Celsius after running GFX Bench, no overheating here, and after running the game you saw before, Riptide GP Renegade, we achieved 35.1 degrees Celsius, so once again, no overheating, no problem. The battery is possibly the best feature about the phone, 5000 mAh in such a slim package, unbelievable. From what I understood, you can also use the phone as a power bank, and on paper we're promised 42 days of standby, 48 hours of 3G talk time, or 28 hours of Wi-Fi web browsing. Let's leave that aside and establish our own records, which are, believe me, amazing. So we go here, and we got the tests all figured out. Battery. Okay, tests. Here we go. Should open up. So in the video playback test, the continuous HD video playback in a loop, we achieved a crazy 15 hours and 34 minutes, which is excellent. It's actually the 8th placed phone from the hundreds of models we've tested. It beats phones like the Galaxy S7 Edge, the iPhone 6s Plus, but scores below the Motorola Moto Z Play and the Lumia 1520. Now in PC Mark, we scored a crazy 14 hours and 8 minutes. As you can see, it's 4th placed. It beats several battery phones. It beats the Allview P9 Energy, the Xiaomi Redmi 4, and a ton of other phones. Still, it scores below the ASUS ZenFone Max, you know, the first one, and the Motorola Moto Z Play, which was also a crazy machine with a pretty good waistline. The charging is hefty, but it's worth it. 3 hours 13 minutes, it's okay considering, but still superior to the iPhone 7 Plus at least. With 5 minutes of charging, you reach 16%, and with 15 minutes of charging, 21%, 30 minutes is 30%. Now the settings for the battery are generous. We got battery here, we got power saver and battery optimization, and we got a special area, power management, with the auto start manager, which is here, so you can allow certain apps to start automatically, and the power saver with 5 modes: performance, normal, power saving, super saving, and custom, and also some things you can activate or deactivate, and a way of scanning stuff to find potential issues with the battery. Okay, so the battery is excellent. We move on to the acoustics and the camera. On the acoustics front, we got here the speaker at the bottom of the phone. It comes with 5 magnets, and also Sonic Master technology, high resolution audio, and XP Smart amplifier, and there's also 24-bit playback. But there's FM radio here somewhere available within those apps. Here we go, FM radio. We have a bunch of bundled headphones, which you saw in the unboxing, and the player of choice is Google Play Music. Surprisingly, ASUS did not provide its own player, but it did provide the famous Audio Wizard, which can be triggered from here. So you can select a movie mode, gaming mode, music mode, outdoor, smart and vocal, and some advanced effects like volume, bass, treble, dialogue enhance, and an equalizer with 5 custom channels. This will come into play later. First, let's listen to some tunes and enjoy them. Okay, so here we go. Let's go with this one. So as you just heard, an excellent experience, totally boosted by the incredible outdoor mode. So things are very loud, the bass is excellent, good highs, good lows, a very small vibration on the backside, no distortion, and I'm pretty happy with the behavior of the bottom side speaker. Even though we don't have stereophony with earpiece, there's no problem, we're happy with what we get here. We also did a bunch of tests, and here we go. So we first achieved a value of 83.7 decibels. This is achieved at the front and back with an acoustic sample and without the outdoor mode. But when we trigger the outdoor mode, we go to 87.7 decibels, which beats the Galaxy S7 Edge and the LG G6, but scores below the BlackBerry Passport. And then we switched on the multimedia playback. I'm talking about games and movies. Here we scored 102.7 decibels, which makes this the #1 phone all time from all the phones we've tested, and it's certainly the loudest phone we've ever heard when the outdoor mode is on and you're gaming or watching a movie. Headphones are also okay, they're comfy and loud, so an excellent acoustics. Now, time to see what the phone has in store for us in the area of the camera. So, dual back camera here with two 12 megapixel sensors. They're the Sony IMX362, 4-axis optical image stabilization for pictures, 3-axis electronic image stabilization for video. We have a dual LED flash, we have a laser focus, 2.3x optical zoom, 1.4 micron pixels, and an RGB color sensor, so a lot of stuff happening here. At the front, 13 megapixel selfie camera, f2.0 aperture, and a Sony IMX214 sensor. The camera UI may feel familiar because it's still part of the Zen UI experience, only this time it's more minimalistic. As you can see, everything is white and clear, lots of modes ranging from portrait to super resolution, children, QR code, effect, panorama, miniature, and many more. But it gets more complicated. There are white balance, ISO, exposure, optimization, resolution, timestamp, watermark, self-timer. I could go on forever, and this option here, which zooms instantly up to 5x, is certainly impressive. Now, it's time to clean up the stuff a bit and proceed to the gallery, where we have a huge number of shots, over 200 of them. So let me start by saying you can also take raw shots, and I'm going to start with the pics taken during the daytime. So one of the things I noticed here is that the phone is able to capture a pretty bright blue, but sometimes it's totally bright, it's exaggerated bright, it goes into the area of cyan. Check out the impressive level of zoom, so you can go all the way in, 2.3x, 5x, and you will not lose details. The name zoom is not a coincidence for this phone, it actually works. And this is how the bokeh effect works. As you can see, you can blur stuff in the distance, but the distance is bigger this time. You have to keep the things further away from the phone, much further than other dual camera phones like the iPhone 7 Plus or like the Huawei P9 or the P10, which may be an inconvenience for people who are already used to a certain system of bokeh. Now the selfies were not exactly impressive, so here are some of the selfies. For a 13 megapixel camera on a phone that has pride in its cameras, I was expecting a bit better. The skin texture and brightness is okay, but the background is seriously burnt. Somehow I wanted more from this phone. And once again, the hue of blue is a bit oversaturated and a bit exaggerated with its, let's say, splendor. Excellent focus, by the way, so if you plan on taking macro shots or generally focusing on stuff to really feel the texture of objects, this camera is the perfect one for you. So aside from the selfies and the hue of blue, I'm very happy with the results, happy with the brightness, the texture, the details, everything checks out fine here. Every now and then there's a blurred shot, but we do have a test unit, so it happens every once in a while. And while the phone is good in the light, when you step into the shadows, you'll feel a bit of blur every now and then happening, but in general the focus was excellent, great macro shots, great details, and one of the best zooms I've seen in all the year 2017. I would put this on par with maybe a Galaxy S6, and let's say you can fight the Galaxy S7, certainly not the Galaxy S8, and if it fixes the blue problem and the selfie problem, it's certainly a champion. That's during the day. Let's go to the night. The first shocking aspect is the power of the flash. First of all, this shot is quite bright for nighttime, but when the flash comes, I'm actually blown away by the details we achieved thanks to it. Excellent texture and lighting for a phone that's not even $500, is not even thick, and is not even taking a lot of pride in a whole low light thing. It's doing fine. And usually if you have these good phones that take good pictures at night, if you start to zoom in, they're not that good. This one keeps the quality even when zooming in. So the name zoom once again sticks. Of course, the street light halos are a bit big, and of course the pictures aren't as bright as an f1.7 or f1.6 phone, the modern ones out there, so could do better in brightness, but overall for low light capture of a high mid-range phone, things are satisfying. I would say it's top 5 among the phones from this year when it comes to the low light capture. It's better than the ZenFone 3 for sure. I feel it also beats the Huawei P10. And now on the video front, let's see what we've got. So I have to say that our test unit was a bit plagued by a bug. It may not happen to you. Sometimes the image was wavy, but I won't call this a negative part, only a hitch that may be corrected via software update. Now, the stabilization goes like this. By the way, a pretty potent microphone, albeit a bit echoey at times. I would say decent stabilization, not the best in the world, but also not very bumpy and not losing focus often, so that's good. Okay, let's find more clips. We filmed in 4K, we filmed in Full HD 60 frames per second. You can see here the wavy bit happened every once in a while. Bugs do happen on test units. I like the slow motion we captured. The 4K clips were also nice. Okay, let's skip this one. As I said before, happens to the best of us. And this is a video that actually looked a bit better. Okay, and let's see another clip. I know we have a spectacular one that's in 60 frames per second, full HD. It really catches this water with all of its natural motion. As you can see, the blue is exacerbated here as well, not only in photos, but also in videos, so a color collection of blue may be needed in the future. As you can see, some of the clips came out fine, others came out plagued by that bug, so it doesn't appear very often. I would be happy with the filming if they solve the bug issue, but I feel that this is a problem of this test unit because I've seen other ZenFone Zooms and they did not have that problem. So in the end, software update may fix it. I'm happy with the quality, I'm happy with the clarity, the brightness, the image, the colors, basically everything except for the blue and the wavy thing. Now this is during the day. During the night, let's see how things are going. So here we have a bit more darkness and yellow hue than I would like. I was expecting a bit more because I was very happy with the low light capture. I was expecting a good low light filming, but it does not sound to be the case. A part of me even thinks that the ZenFone 3 filmed a bit better, or at least on par with this phone. So it feels maybe on par with the Huawei midranger, but not more than that. It cannot compete with even a flagship from last year, maybe a flagship from 2 years ago, but at least the zoom remains solid, even at night. So no contest in the low light conditions, some bugs, but overall the zoom and focus remain champions, and I would say that all the colors are great minus the blue. Now let's go to other aspects. We got Chrome here as the pre-installed browser, and let's go to our website. Let's open up gsmdom.com. Not the fastest in the world, as you'll see in a minute. Chrome needs an update, I'm guessing. Okay, here we go. And for input, we got this beefy virtual keyboard with swipe, and with a numeric row, and with generous spacing of the keys. Now let's go to the connectivity and the software. Now on the connectivity front, we got a dual SIM phone here with nano SIM card slots. We got USB Type-C at the bottom. There is an audio jack. There is Wi-Fi Direct, Wi-Fi BGN. We also have dual microphone with noise cancelling, VO LTE, GPS, GLONASS, 4G LTE category 7, and as usual, a ton of features in the dialer. So we also have speed dial, call recording. The calls were loud and clear. And interestingly, this phone somehow does not support Wi-Fi 5 GHz, and we could not get a proper 4G signal, which once again put to the fact that it's still a test unit. Now we also did some tests as far as connectivity is concerned, and let's see what came out of those. As you can see, the results are not very impressive here, so up to 51 megapsecond downloads in Wi-Fi, 25 in upload, and we couldn't connect to 4G, so that explains the HSPA results we got here. The final model should have no problem in this area. Now on the OS front, we got Android 7.1.1. Initially, the phone was announced with Marshmallow, but luckily it got Nougat 7.1.1 in the meantime, with ZenUI on top. ZenUI is minimal and very colorful. If you check out the multitasking area, it's all about the carousel. And if you're in Chrome, for example, you can also do some split screen multitasking. You can browse around and view pictures, for example. Now, if you keep the home screen pressed, you'll see the usual options: widgets, home screen, wallpapers, theme, lock apps, preferences, system settings, and more. And if you pinch the screen, you can tweak stuff like the icon size, alignment, scroll effects, font size, icon label, and font. As usual, ASUS remains one of the companies that lets you customize your phone the most out of all of them. And here we have the Google Now home screen, and other than that, the lock screen will change its image every time you go into it. Here we have the very colorful and cute looking quick settings, as well as the notifications, and then the actual settings. Connectivity ones, display, do not disturb, apps, Zen motion, touch gesture, motion gesture, one hand usage, power management, ASUS customized settings. We got something called Game Genie here that lets you stream stuff to Twitch or to YouTube, and also does other tweaks, so gamers should be happy. A glove mode, and finally we have the easy mode, the kids mode, and the fingerprint scanner. It's placed at the back below the dual camera, and let's see what it can do. So it can answer calls, launch the camera, take a photo, and finally let's see just how fast it is. So it works in combo with a pin, and the setup involves about 10 steps. Next, okay. %83% done, and we are finished. Done. And let's see how efficient it is. So, as usual, the first time you do it, you have to enter a pin, but then okay, so not the fastest in the world. Let's see again. When it's doing it at an angle, it takes a bit longer when it's doing it at 90 degrees, but when it does it at the initial way we authenticated, it happens faster. So I would say mixed to medium, overall reasonable if you want to unlock your phone but don't want to do it incredibly fast. Now let's see other things like the pre-installed apps. I counted about 45 of them. There's quite a lot, but some of them are quite useful. I'm talking about the new ASUS ZenFit. Haven't seen this one before. It's a new one for me. They're trying to rival the one from LG and the one from Samsung. We got Do It Later, Raise a Ruler, Mini Movie. We got Photo Collage, Quick Memo, take memos, which is filled with options. We got here all sorts of things used to draw, write, scribble. You can delete a note, pin a note, click to edit. Okay, let's get rid of this if we can. Okay, and other apps like the Zen Circle, ZenUI frequently asked questions. We got the Google Suite here, social networking apps, and a very useful mobile manager to clean the cache, data usage, notifications, and security stuff. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. It's time for the verdict now. So on the pro side, we got a slim phone with a fantastic battery. We also have a bright screen, a pretty okay performance if you are talking about a mid-range phone, huge acoustics, I'm talking about the volume here, a pretty solid low light picture taking experience, quality pics during the day minus the blue hue, and fantastic level of zoom no matter what your term of comparison is. Those are the pros, so especially the battery and acoustics amazed us. Now on the cons side, Those plastic lids at the bottom and top are not very pleasing. Some connectivity bugs were signaled. Also, the selfies were poor, and I do not feel that this is a bug. We actually put the bugs aside. We did not put them in the cons section, but the selfies seem to be more underwhelming than expected. The blue hue is here, of course. The fact that you have to take your bokeh from further away compared to the subject and compared to the Huawei P9 and the iPhone is a bit of an issue, and the fact that the UI has stayed pretty much the same for the past year and doesn't change. Well, we want some changes in Zen UI, which may come with ZenFone 4, but till then this goes in the cons section. So one thing is for sure, this is better than the ZenFone Zoom that felt huge and experimental. It's very good as a battery phone, it's very good as a slim battery phone, achieving 14 hours of continuous usage, which is basically 14 hours of gaming if you think about it. It's got a pretty good dual camera if you're a zoom buff, so if you like to zoom a lot, this is the phone for you. And it does have a few bugs here and there, but this is our test unit, so the final version should get rid of them. It's a solid phone with a pretty good design, with a bright screen, with very capable acoustics. If you don't want to get it for the camera, you will surely get it for the battery and for the speaker. This is it from gsn.com. This has been the review of the ASUS ZenFone Zoom S. Bye bye.